Am I losing my mind? Am I wasting my time? Do I know who I am? I don't know who I am. Can I say I'm the man? I don't know, I don't know, I don't know, I don't know, I don't know who I am.
So confused in this life full of mystery. Guess I'm glad it ain't a life full of misery. I wanna dance, I wanna fly, I wanna let it free. But that's a different side of people they don't wanna see. I've been caught up in my mind sometimes, so I rhyme just to feel alright. And when the rhyming did good, that's when I just understood it was by design. And when I feel this way, I just walk and talk to appear this way, baby. I don't know what to say, baby. I don't know what I am, baby. That's just how I play, baby. Yeah.
I don't know who I am. Can I say I'm the man? Am I losing my mind? Am I wasting my time? Do I know who I am?
Powered by Riverside FM.
Welcome to another edition of the UP Unconventional Playbook. Hit that like and subscribe button. We've hit a milestone, 10,000 subscribers. Let's get into it. The Minnesota Vikings cornerback room has been obliterated. Now, they still have some pieces there, but of course, just looking at this, common sense will tell you that they can't keep their cornerback room this way. They just don't have enough. So people have been reaching out. Lionel, what are their options at cornerback? What are they going to do? And there's a variety of different things that they can do, a variety of different ways to bolster that CB room. But it's going to be tough. And the one thing that you have to do, the one thing you have to weigh if you're the Minnesota Vikings, in front of the public eye, you are going to say, yeah, we're trying to win championships. You know, we're going to, like, you have to put that face on, don't you? Don't you have to put that face on with your players? But secretly inside, I've coached long enough to know, you know what you know. And you have to look at the landscape of the rest of the NFL, your division, your conference, and then the league as a whole. Who are you better than? What is realistic? And that is going to dictate your moves. So I know there's a lot of sexy names out there in terms of quarterbacks. But you don't want to give up draft capital for a cornerback when you don't think it's going to be a championship year or a Super Bowl year. Like, you're not going to give up a lot. Your draft stock or your draft assets have already been depleted because of multiple trades, moving up in the draft, TJ Hawkinson, all those deals. You don't have a lot of draft capital to mess around with. And quite frankly, you should be ready to build that up to go into conjunction with all the money that you're going to have under the cap next year. Now, if there's a move out there that's going to make you better long term, of course you got to make it. I just don't know if you do it right now at cornerback with what's out there. Lattimore for the Saints, that's going to cost you a number 1 draft pick. You don't have a 2. You don't have a 3. They're not going to give him up for anything less than a 3. You're definitely not giving up your number 1. So you got to keep that. So he is off the market. Xavier Howard would be a great addition to the Minnesota Vikings in terms of play. It just makes sense. He was in B-Flow's defense down in Miami. They know each other really well. Xavier Howard, even though he's getting long in the tooth, good corner. See, a culture guy. That's the question. I mean, the Minnesota Vikings have put their stamp on their culture. This is KLC's culture. This is Kwesi's culture. That locker room becomes important. And we won't take a deep dive in what's going on with Xavier Howard, but my goodness, the stuff that you can research about him in terms of his off the field stuff, do you want to bring that in to what you already have? I mean, he's going to be the veteran cornerback with a lot of young cornerbacks on the roster. Do you want him mentoring or role modeling in that locker room with the rest of the cornerbacks? I say no. I would be shocked if the Minnesota Vikings brought in Xavier Howard just because of that reason. Play-wise, I have no problem with him. Good corner. Would enhance that room. But looking at some of his judgment things off the field, oh boy. Oh boy. I would think about that one if I'm the Minnesota Vikings. So I don't think that's likely, because I think their culture is important to him. Stefan Gilmore, great fit. I think he's the perfect stopgap guy. You probably could get him for a few million, under 10, maybe $7 to $9 million, which is workable for the Minnesota Vikings, is what you're going to sign Stephon Gilmore for. Now, he's not the same Stephon Gilmore that he was years ago. Older corner, about 34 years old, still can play. Just not the lockdown guy that he used to be, but still can ball. Again, said it in a previous podcast, ranked 18th in PFF, man-to-man quarterback in the league. Will be perfect for B-Flow's system. As much as B-Flow likes to blitz, you got to have cornerbacks that can play when they're on an island, make some plays. I think that's why they brought in Shaq Griffin. So Stephon Gilmore would be a viable option for the Minnesota Vikings. It is, in my opinion, the number one option on the table that's good for the team. Stefan. I would kick the tires on that. I've heard Patrick Surtain, again, at the lockdown corner. What you going to give up? Is it worth giving up a lot of draft capital for Surtain when you're not ready to go yet? I don't do that. I think that's worse than the Lattimore deal and what you're going to have to give up. Teams aren't giving away corners. Like, you're going to have to pay a premium. And that's what I think you're going to have to do for Surtain. I've also heard the return of Patrick Peterson. No, don't want that. We've moved on. Patrick Peterson back in the day was a hell of a corner. And his year with the Minnesota Vikings wasn't bad. Patrick Peterson wasn't bad. He's getting too old now. And I don't know if that's the guy you want back there in B-Flow's defense. We're a little bit different now. Although you would like to have Patrick Peterson's knowledge in the locker room, retire, make him a coach, but I don't want him on the field anymore. I don't think that's the best answer. I'm not saying it's a horrible answer and he can't really play at the level anymore. You could kick the tires on Patrick Peterson. He's just not my preference on what we would do. I would rather take a chance on a young guy that has all the physical attributes that you want than Patrick Peterson. Because I don't think he helps you at where he is in his career and what we're trying to do this year. But this is just me, UP. This is just me. J.C. Jackson now. J.C. Jackson is interesting. J.C. Jackson is a little bit younger. I believe he's 28 years old. So out of all the guys that we're talking about, He's a little young, and I like that. I like that youth. And he's got the body that I think B-Flow likes in his corners. And he can play. That's another one that I would be for. Stefan Gilmore, J.C. Jackson, guys can ball. But it's going to be interesting to see what the Vikings are going to do at the cornerback position. I mean, man, this thing is getting rough. You know, we've had a death and a couple of injuries with Shaq Griffin, Tyree Jackson, just tragic car accident. Mekhi Blackman going down with the ACL. Vikings obviously are going to have to make some moves. So that's going to be an interesting thing to watch in training camp. Just wondering which way they are going to go. I mean, this thing is getting crazy now. But here's the thing. I trust our leadership. I trust in what KOC's doing, B-Flow's doing, Kwesi Adolfo Mensah, what he's doing. He's been cooking. Are you worried, Minnesota Viking fans? Like, I'm not. I just trust these guys. These guys have been doing great things since they arrived. And this is going to be more than about wins and losses. Of course, those guys want to win. Of course, Viking Nation, you want them to win. But I hope Viking Nation has some common sense. The Vikings may have to take a little bit of a step back this year. But they're setting things up to be so plush in the future. As I said on previous podcasts, give it time. Just give it time. And there hasn't been something brewing like this here in a long time. And KOC and Kwesi, they've got my full support. They're doing good things. Do we want to see more things? Yeah. But I've got more realistic goals for the Vikings this year, and I've liked 99.9% of the moves that the Minnesota Vikings have made, whether it's financially, personnel, coaching-wise, decisions, dealing with players, draft picks. I mean, it's been A++, in my opinion. It's going to be interesting to see how they handle this cornerback deal, because it is relevant in a division that is full of good quarterbacks. Caleb Williams, Jordan Love, Goff, Jared Goff. The Vikings have to get that secondary ready, and they have to get that secondary together. And they've got to do it sooner than later, because training camp has just started. There's going to be a lot of installs. So whoever you bring in or whatever moves you make, they've got to get in the playbook right now, because B-Flow's scheme is not easy. Keep an eye on that cornerback room and the moves that the Vikings make. It's going to be interesting. This has been Unconventional Playbook. 10,000 subscribers and growing. Keep hitting that like and subscribe button. The music that you hear is produced by Latre. We're going to try to get Latre on the show one day. I know he's a busy guy, based out in Portland, making his music. We got to get him on the show one day, talk a little sports. See what he thinks of the moves that the Minnesota Vikings are making. Let's talk a little bit of music. See what makes Latre tick. Been gracious enough to grace us with his music and allow us to use his music for our podcast. So we're going to get him on the show. I know you guys, UP Nation, I know you want to meet Latre. So we're going to work on that one. But this has been Unconventional Playbook. We will see ya when we see ya. Latre, take us home.
I wasting my time? Do I know who I am?